When you hear the word demon, what do you imagine? A shadowy figure hiding in the dark? A person twisting in possession? Maybe strange creatures from mythology? But according to the Bible, demons aren't just one thing. Scripture actually describes 3 different kinds of demons, each with a different role in human history, and each with a different level of influence in the world. Today, we're going to break them down. The ones in the air, the ones in the flesh, and the ones chained in darkness. And by the end, you'll see how these categories connect to both the past and the future, including the end times. Let's start with the first type, the demons in the air and the spiritual realms. Ephesians 2:2 calls Satan the prince of the power of the air, the spirit who now works in the sons of disobedience. Revelation 12 shows us war in heaven, where Satan and his angels were cast down. And Jesus himself said in John 10:10, "The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy." These are the powers that operate in the unseen atmosphere. They don't always show themselves directly, but they influence nations, cultures, and even religions. They resist the gospel. They deceive leaders and kings. They stir up rebellion, crime, and war. When we talk about territorial spirits, or the feeling of a region being steeped in violence or corruption, this is what Scripture points to: spiritual beings in the air, shaping culture and resisting God's kingdom. The second category is much more personal: demons that occupy human bodies. In Mark chapter 5, Jesus meets a man possessed by a legion of demons. This man lived among the tombs, cutting himself out of his mind, unable to be restrained. In Acts 16, we see a slave girl possessed by a spirit of divination, who brought profit to her masters until Paul cast the spirit out. These are demons that attach themselves to individuals. The Bible shows their effects clearly: tormenting the mind with madness and confusion, inflicting sickness and suffering, driving people toward occult practices, fortune-telling, or even violent crime. Not every sickness or mental struggle is demonic, but some, Scripture shows, absolutely are. And Jesus consistently set people free from these spirits, showing his authority over them. Even today, stories of exorcisms and deliverance remind us that this category of demon is still active, still seeking to enter, torment, and control individuals. The third type is the most mysterious and the most terrifying. Jude 1:6 says, "The angels who did not keep their proper domain but left their own abode, he has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day." 2 Peter 2:4 echoes it. God did not spare the angels who sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them into chains of darkness, to be reserved for judgment. And Revelation 9 describes a bottomless pit, the abyss, being opened, releasing terrifying beings led by Abaddon or Apollyon during the tribulation. These are the ancient rebels. Many link them to Genesis 6, the sons of God, who took human wives, leading to the Nephilim. Their corruption was so severe that God judged them early, binding them away. They were the archetypes of ancient myths and religions. The so-called gods of the ancient world may well have been inspired by these chained beings, remembered in distorted human stories. And yet Revelation suggests a time when they will be released again. Not for long, but long enough to bring chaos during the end times. So here's the big picture. The Bible shows us 3 categories. In the air, demons influencing nations and cultures. In the flesh, demons possessing and tormenting individuals. In darkness, ancient spirits bound for judgment, waiting for the end. It's easy to focus on the fear, but Scripture reminds us of something greater. Colossians 2:15 says Christ disarmed the rulers and authorities, triumphing over them by the cross. Luke 10:19 records Jesus saying, "Behold, I give you authority to trample on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you." Demons are real. Their influence is real. But their defeat is also real. Christ holds the final authority. So the question for us today is simple. Which of these influences do you see most in the world around you? And more importantly, are you standing under the authority of the one who overcame them all?